There was a time when horror wasn't scary, it was cool. The villains had fan clubs, the gore was theatrical, and every blockbuster wanted its own knife-wielding mascot. The 70s through the 90s were basically Saturday morning cartoon era of murder. Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Chucky, Michael Myers, these weren't just killers, they were personalities. And every kid on the playground knew their names, even the ones who weren't even allowed to watch the horror. Because that's how strong the branding was. Parents banned it, but that only made it cooler. Freddy was the rock star, the guy with the one-liners and a fedora, selling nightmares like they were concert tickets. He even had his own phone call that you could reach out to and it would leave a message.
It's time for another of Freddy Krueger's favorite bedtime stories.
Jason was the silent jock with mommy issues and impeccable machete form. Michael Myers was the prototype minimalist, blank mask, heavy breathing, strong commitment to cardio. And then there was Chucky, living proof that evil could fit in a 2-foot plastic body and still get a girlfriend. Unlike me, these characters were more than villains, they were brands. The movies blurred into pop culture so hard that you couldn't tell where the marketing ended and the fandom began. The secret formula was consistency and chaos. Each sequel gave fans exactly what they wanted. More kills, more style, more quotable nonsense. And because effects were practical, every stunt felt tangible. Blood squibs, latex masks, creative decapitations, it was gross, but it was real. You weren't just watching a movie, you were watching art students with no OSHA training reinvent the genre. It's amazing what you can accomplish with duct tape and emotional damage. You don't need symbolism or backstory with these horror icons, you just need a mask and a motive. It was campy, cheap, and fun.
Yo man, it's cool, man.
But it still tapped into primal fears back then. The balance between ridiculous and terrifying is what made the icons stick. Think of it this way, the 80s didn't just invent horror icons, it became a horror fandom. The VHS era made monsters collectible. Renting the next Friday the 13th sequel wasn't about suspense, it was about seeing what creative new way Jason could commit homicide with a garden tool. It was ritual, it was community, and it was stupid, but beautiful. But eventually the magic faded. Sequels got cheaper, the jokes got dumber, and everything got overexposed. The internet came along and the whole ecosystem collapsed, and horror lost the chance to grow. So here's where the monster machine started to glitch and started to spew out random nonsense. We invented the internet, and suddenly horror didn't have time to breathe anymore. Back in the 80s and 90s, a horror villain could grow slowly. VHS rentals, to cable TV, to sequels, to merch, to the Halloween store. But it took years for Freddy and Jason to become legends. Now, horror characters get 12 days on a TikTok, and then the algorithm decides that they're dead. That's the problem. We replace cultural impact with virality. Freddy wasn't a meme, he was repeated. He'd show up again and again and again and lived rent-free in our culture. Modern horror villains don't get that cycle. They get one Blumhouse weekend and a limited edition enamel pin. The internet rewards novelty. Horror icons depended on repetition. Those are opposite ecosystems. Freddy could never survive in an era where we would get bored of trends in less than 3 business days. You don't fall in love with a character you binge once and never think of again. So yeah, the internet democratized horror, but it vaporized longevity. Now, horror is a trend. It peaks and then it vanishes. We don't build legends anymore, we build TikTok sounds. And memes. So many memes. So once the internet killed long-term character attachment, the studios decided to pivot. They stopped building characters and started building franchises and universes. The Nun, Annabelle, Demons in Hats, Demons in Veils, Demons in Barn Lofts, they all look amazing in trailers, but none of them have an individual identity. The Jason and Freddy era was a character first, and the Conjuring era was logo first. We don't sell killers anymore, we sell the intellectual property. Which is the core problem. Horror mascots became too valuable to actually risk. Freddy was allowed to be disgusting, Jason was allowed to be cheap, Chucky was allowed to be insane. You can't do that with a corporate entity that's meant to fuel 12 years of spin-offs and merch bundles. When you sanitize horror for mass appeal, you kill the actual monster that was being made. Fear needs to be personal. Horror needs villains that feel dangerous again. So why did horror icons lose their flavor? It's because the internet made attention spans microscopic, because franchises replaced characters, because horror got psychological instead of personal. Except Art the Clown. Whoever did that is doing it in the old-fashioned way. He's the proof that the blueprint can still work, you just have to make it nasty. The next horror icon isn't going to come from a major studio. He's going to crawl out of some niche analog horror YouTube channel, or an indie game, or a 2 a.m. internet short film that was made on crack in the basement of the mom's house. Horror icons didn't die, they just went indie. If you want to talk about this unhinged side horror more, I do this live on Twitch. It's chaotic but cozy. Twitch.tv/Catakemie, bring snacks and questionable opinions. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!